Hello and what is going on, guys? My name is Miguel. Welcome back to the channel, Miguel EDC, where we talk all about EDC gear. Today we're going to be looking at this Ganzo knife. This is an axis lock Ganzo knife. It's called the Firebird FB765. It's another one of those interesting names knives out there. This is actually my second axis lock. The first axis lock being the FIDGET folding knife, this guy right here. So if you haven't seen the review video on this guy, make sure to check it out because this thing is butter smooth right here. This guy, now that Benchmade has made the axis lock available so that other companies can use it as well. All other companies are coming out with their own version of the axis lock, right? Kershaw has, they just launched the Dura lock, and so many more companies are coming out with their own version of the axis lock, right, for their knives. But so this guy here, quick rundown, we have a G10 like military green looking scales on this guy. We have this is a satin finish 440C, so it's a high carbon type of steel. It has a decent amount of corrosion resistance. It's going to be up there in the budget category. By the way, links will be in the description for all the products that you see on this video. Those do help out the channel at no extra cost to you, so keep that in mind. But yeah, so this guy comes in at around, I want to say $21 or $22, and I mean, for the price, right, if you're looking to get into an axis lock, I mean, this guy, you know, there's very little to complain about. We're going to get more into that as the video progresses. So let's begin with a quick overall length on this guy. Let's see, this guy is about overall length, I want to say 7 3/4 overall length. The handle is going to be about almost 4.5 inches, right? It's a little bit on the lengthier side. The blade is going to be around 3.25 inches. Let's do some quick size comparisons here next to the Spyderco PM2, also next to the Spyderco Para 3. So it's going to be bigger than the Para 3. So you can see here, right? Definitely about a half inch or so bigger than the Para 3. It compares quite a bit to the PM2, right? I want to say almost as big. Let's switch it over to Demco. So let's compare it to the Demco AD 20.5. That is the clip point version. This one is a shark's foot version right there. I believe, yep, Ganzo knife, if I'm even pronouncing that right. I know in Spanish it's pronounced Ganzo, right? So the Ganzo knife is going to be, yeah, very comparable to the Demco brothers, especially to the clip point blade, right? Almost the same size, if not a little bit bigger. So let's do the Ontario Wrap Model 1. Right, this guy is a behemoth here, and the Wrap Model 2. So the Wrap Model 2, definitely tinier. The Wrap Model 1 is the bigger one of the two, and yeah, the Ganzo knife is just sticking around in the competition, right? Definitely smaller than the Model 1, but not by much, right? Since we're here, right, let's do a quick carry profile. So let's fold this guy right here. It's going to be quite slim, I'll tell you that. This guy is going to disappear in your pocket because look how slim it is compared to the Spyderco PM2 and Para 3. Yeah, definitely a lot slimmer right there compared to the Demco brothers. Still a lot slimmer than the Demco knives, right? The 20.5. Next to the Ontario Wrap Model 1, next to the Ontario Wrap Model 2. Definitely the Wrap Model 2 is going to be the slimmer of them all. The Wrap Model 1 is going to be, you know, be a little bit thicker than the Ganzo knife, but the Ganzo knife is somewhere in the middle. Let's do a quick carry profile right here. Check it out next to the PM2. Probably, yeah, a hair wider than the PM2. The Demco brothers here, 20.5, they do come in a little bit slimmer here on this Gravery scales. You can see that for yourself right there. Ontario Wrap Model 1, also very comparable. Again, the Ganzo probably being a little bit, just a hair thicker. And the Wrap Model 2, right? Yeah, this one's going to be definitely a lot slimmer there, a lot skinnier than the Ganzo knife for sure. So let's check out that opening action once again. You can deploy this guy with the axis lock. You can do your thumb deployment right here. All right, so let me do the thumb deployment. Right, there it is. You could also open it with the flick of the wrist, like you can with most axis knives. I did notice on the return, so unlike the FIDGET folding knife, right, the return on this guy, you have to give it a lot of, you know, motion on the way back in order to fully close. Otherwise, you might run into a scenario where it does that, right? It doesn't close all the way, so you have to kind of finish it off with your thumb. But once you get it figured out, right, I think you're gonna do just fine. There's what yeah, that's what I meant right there. All right, that being said, can you reverse flick this guy? It's a good question. I think that'd be a little bit tricky. I feel like if you get enough motion, you could. But yeah, it's going to be very difficult. I know you guys find pleasure in seeing me attempt and fail over and over again. Bruh. But yeah, it's going to be very difficult on this guy because there's not a lot of room right there. I want to say if there was some sort of groove or indentation right here, that would help a bit. If you're left-handed, of course, that comes handy here, right? So you would use a thumb deployment. So thumb deployment on both hands. That's good. Axis locks make it so that left-handed people could use it as well. As you can clearly see, my left hand is not as trained as my right hand. Obviously, I'm right-handed, but I mean, you get the idea, right? So again, you have G10 green scales. I want to say this guy comes in some other colors too. The steel is satin finish. It's a 440, so high carbon concentration, somewhat of a budget steel, and you know, a decent corrosion resistance. I want to say when you first get this knife, right, it is very, I want to say this axis lock right here, it's going to beat up your index finger and your thumb a little bit. I don't know if you guys can see that there, but yeah, after you do it a couple of times, you know, it's going to beat up your you know, your fingers a little bit, but once you you know, kind of break it in, you know, it kind of becomes a little bit more user friendly. So don't get discouraged if that's the case right off the bat when you first get it. And by the way it works is when you push this bar back, right, it releases the blade, right? So there's a blade, and that also holds the blade in place. See, when it locks in, when the blade is fully folded, it locks the blade in place. So that's how an axis lock works in a nutshell, right? I mean, this blade is like nothing else. I like the fact that it's sort of like a drop point in a way. I want to say I like the fact that it kind of drops to here and then it drops some more, but it's also a fingerprint magnet, right? There's like fingerprints everywhere and I'm always constantly having to wipe it down. Other than that, the pocket clip is, you know, deep carry to a certain extent. You're gonna have about this much of the knife showing out of your pocket. I mean, it's not as much as, let's say, a Spyderco with the standard clip, right? But I mean, it's still, you know, a little pyramid right there popping out of the pocket there. It could have been maybe a hair deeper into, you know, a little bit of a deeper carry pocket clip, but again, I'm not complaining. There's a decent amount of resistance right there. I want to say it goes in and out of the pocket very good. There's a lanyard hold right there, right, in the form of a somewhat of a triangle. So if you're into that, that's going to come very handy right there. Let's do a quick hardware check. By the way, so I use the Strabito tool set right here. It brings all kinds of drill bits that I may need. It's very affordable. Check out the affiliate links in the description below. Those do help out the channel at no extra cost to you. During the hardware check, we're going to take a look here. These look like T6 or maybe T8. Oh, let's do T6. All right, spot on. T6 right there for the frame or the scales. I want to say this guy's definitely bigger, so the pivot might be a T8. Let's try that. Make sure you guys can see that on camera. Yep, spot on. T8 on the pivot on both ends, whereas everything else is going to be a T6. Let me check the pocket clip. Yeah, even the pocket clip is going to be a T6 all around, except the pivot, which is a T8. Let's get a quick weight on this guy. Let's take a look here. This guy comes in at 3.6 ounces. Okay, for reference, let's weigh the Fleisa folding knife again. That was 3.6 as well, so about the same weight on both of these. And then last but not least, let's check out the Ortis. It's a little bit lighter at 2.9. Let's get a quick blade stock thickness on this guy. This blade is a little bit on the chunkier side. I mean, not crazy, but definitely a little bit on the thick side for sure. It's going to be 0.12 inches on the thickest portion, 0.12 inches, so 0.12. And right here on the very tip, let's see what we got. So it goes down to 0.02 inches in the very, very tip right there. So G10 scales on this guy, this dark green, right? They get the job done, right? They feel decently, you know, grippery. Got the liners here inside. They are milled. You can see them circles, the milling right there in the inside. You got circles going on both sides. Just like I talked about on the last video with the Fleisa folding knife, right? This being an axis lock, you can see the milling right here. That's where the omega springs are going to be located right there. And that is arguably the weakest point of this knife. That's what most people think about when they think about axis locks, right? Are the omega springs going to fail? They're possibly the one thing that's going to fail before anything else does on a axis lock knife, but I mean, no issues here. And you know, you kind of gamble a little bit anytime you take an axis lock with omega springs. You know, if you have a pair to replace them, you should be all right. If you carefully take apart your knife and replace them, you should be okay. I feel like that's a good value, right? That's a good trade-off. Get the convenience of an ambidextrous knife. Yeah, there's no way I'm doing that with my left hand. Oh, I almost did it right there. Yeah, I get the benefits. Definitely my left hand is not as trained as my right hand for sure, but you get the idea, right? Get a knife that is very ergonomically friendly for both left-handed and right-handed people. And I mean, it's just a beautiful, you know, locking, opening and closing mechanism overall. Although it's not very easy to see, this guy is riding on ball bearings, right? I'm sure they are steel ball bearings in there. Kind of hard to see or hard for the camera to pick up. As far as the blade goes, right, that looks pretty aligned to me. You guys be the judge of that, but that looks smack in the center right there. Yeah, even after some heavy use on this guy, that blade is pretty spot on. And like I said, this guy is solid, right? There's no movement of the blade anywhere side to side or anything like that. This thing is rock solid in place. Let's do the customary paper cutting. So let's see how this guy does. Look at that. Wow. And mind you, right, this has been after, oh, there we go, EDC in this guy for a while. So yeah, it depends the angle, right? Keep in mind, this blade, it actually kind of has a Scandi type of indentation. So it goes from thin to very thick very quickly. Yeah, some cuts are butter smooth. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, kind of gets a little cheaper. All right, so this knife comes in around $22, so it is 12% discounted right now, and so it is not a price that is going to break the bank, especially if you're looking to get into EDC for the first time. Check out the links in the description below, right? There are affiliate links that help out the channel at no extra cost to you. But for what it's worth, guys, about the $20 ballpark, you're getting a solid EDC knife. That being said, guys, again, if you're looking to get into access locks at an affordable price, I mean, the $20 range right there, can't go wrong with this guy right here. Keep in mind, like I mentioned earlier, it does take kind of a breaking in period for you to break in the access lock. This guy will make a perfect first access lock knife if you're looking to add that to your arsenal. If you don't already have an access lock knife, also the Fleisa folding knife, right? These two, right? Can't go wrong with either one. I would probably personally lean towards the Fleisa a little bit more because the action on this guy is a little bit smoother and the blade is also thinner on this guy compared to the Ganzo. Also a little bit smaller too, right? You saw that on the size comparison. So leaning towards the Fleisa just by a hair, but again, they're both very, very solid when it comes to, let's say, your first access lock or even a budget access lock. Also makes a great gift for a friend, makes a great gift for maybe you're trying to get a friend into EDC, you're not too sure if they're gonna like it or enjoy it or what have you. You're taking a gamble and you don't really want to break the bank. This might be a good, a good starting point, definitely a good starting point to get a friend or family member or someone into knives. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the video on this guy. Let me know in the comments what you'd like to see, if I miss anything, if there's any specific question that you have about this guy that perhaps I didn't cover in the video. Please let me know in the comments. I'd love to answer whatever type of questions you may have, or anything else you'd like to see in future videos. Let me know. Also, by the time you are done watching this video, it's very possible that the Civivi Elementum button lock, this guy right here, is already up in the channel as a review. If that's the case, I'm gonna put a card right here for you guys to check this guy out. This guy is butter smooth for a flip open. Thank you guys for checking out the video, and I'll see you next time. Peace.